Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program?
This is America's Outdoor Talk program.
Are you ready to get rowdy?
Outdoors This Week with your host, Alex Langer. Alex Langer. We've got fishing.
Believe me, folks, I have been there, and the fishing has been tremendous.
Hiking.
Adios. Have a nice trip.
Camping.
This is a real adventure.
How do you know?
When you're an experienced woodsman like me, you get a feel for these things.
Oh, really?
Heck, we've even got kayaking.
I'm going to show you kids the time of your life.
We've got all the info you need for a safe and fun day in the sun.
It's a darn good thing we found you when we did. There's something horrible roaming these woods.
And you've got Outdoors This Week. Outdoors This Week. And now, here's your host, Alex Langer.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And I use that term very, very, very loosely because, well, are you ladies and gentlemen or are you not? I'll let you answer that question yourselves. I haven't personally met you. You deal with your own conscience. Let me tell you what we have today on the show. We have a legend in Canada. You might say, so what? So he's a legend in Canada? What does that mean to me? Well, he is a fisherman. He has won the Canadian Championship 2 times. During the time he was fishing tournaments, he won about 3 tournaments a year. If you ever fish tournaments, you know how unbelievable that is. The guy's name is Big Jim McLaughlin, and the CFT Canadian Classic Championships were Canada's premier tournament title, and he also had other tournament victories, numbering 28 to his credit. Following his tournament success, Big Jim founded what is to become Canada's largest national free publication about fishing, called Just Fishing with Big Jim McLaughlin. Big Jim also spent several years as host of the Ultimate Fishing Show before moving on to the current phase of his career, which is weigh-in show MC, featured speaker at many premier Canadian shows, as well as an outdoor writer, promotional man and celebrity guide. And of all people, he discovered Dave Mercer. He's going to tell the story today. That was at the time when Big Jim was winning every tournament that mattered in Canada. Dave Mercer was a 12-year-old kid who wrote him a letter and said, "Gee, can I go fishing with you?" He said, "Come on, kid, let's go. Hop on my boat." So that's it. Then we have all of our usual suspects, including Sammy Lee, Wade Bourne, and the guy from Bass Pro.
Larry Whiteley.
That's right, Larry. I was just testing you in. Larry is married. I don't think Sammy Lee is married.
Oh, wow.
I don't think he has grandchildren.
Okay.
So we'll be right back, folks. Stay with us. It'll be a great show.
Hang tight. More of America's Outdoor Talk program, Outdoors This Week, after this.
Hi folks, Ron Linder here for Optima Batteries, the gold standard in trolling motor power. Got some sad news. One of the legends of our industry, Ray Ostrom, passed away. Who is Ray Ostrom? Well, you'd better remember him as Mr. Rapala Normark. He, along with Ron Weber, brought the Rapala into the United States, along with the Martini knife, the Rapala knife, the Fisker scissors, and a whole bunch of other things. If you fish down south in the Gulf area and you use any of the DOA lures, he used to be a part owner in the DOA lure company, which makes the Terrorizer as well as the DOA line of baits. He also did a thing called the Game Fair, which traveled around the country and did a lot of hunting activities. Ray had another thing. He was, of course, in the Hall of Fame, along with Ron Weber. Among other things, he was Ron and Al Lindner's first true Rapala. He was our first television sponsor in 1970. Ray, who owned a sports store in Minneapolis, They started importing the Rapalas, and the famous story of the Life magazine article, which hit at the time, plummeted them for a few hundred baits that they were importing to Finland to an order of 3 million lures. Came within a very, very short period of time. It is a legend in the business. Well, anyway, Ray, at age 85, passed away. He and his wife, Norma, went up and they lived on a place called Cyclone Island, and they lived on a multi-million-dollar houseboat, an actual houseboat, the real thing. It had you had to see it to believe it. And at other times in winter, he went to Fort Myers, spent time down in Fort Myers, Florida, where I visited and fished with him a couple of different times. He was a true legend and a honor to have in the industry. Ray Ostrom. So at this point, Ray Ostrom, rest in peace. Well, that's it for now from us at Linder's Angling Edge. Until then, see you later, folks.
Good hunters coming up on Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World.
Have you ever wanted to disappear into the woods? Have you ever wanted to tie your own flies, but never taken the time? Have you ever wanted to speak turkey? Then you belong at Bass Pro Shops. Every week, we offer free skills workshops to help you get started. See the store or go to BassPro.com for more information. Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here.
Hunters that consistently take trophy bucks year after year aren't lucky, they're good. While you're sitting at home in the air conditioning, they're out in the heat of summer, locating deer they plan to hunt in the fall and looking for their movement patterns. They know that those patterns, which are determined by food, water, cover, terrain, and hunting pressure, will help solve the puzzle and up their odds considerably. While you're inside watching the baseball game, they're outside looking for every type of food and water source there is in their hunting area and searching out cover areas that are hard to reach and generally inaccessible. Now, while you're reading the newspaper, they're reading a topographical map to find saddles, funnels, and edges that deer use to hide their movements. Then they determine locations for tree stands and hang them, clear shooting lanes, and try to figure out where other hunters might spook deer to them. They end their scouting by September, which is about the same time you start thinking about it. I'm Larry Whiteley, and this is Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World.
Thanks a lot, Larry. Wow, that's a lot of work. Phew, I'm worn out just listening to Larry.
I know. I feel tired. I don't know if we can go on.
I wouldn't normally go on, but we have Big Jim McLaughlin in the building. Big Jim is in the building. Let me tell you a little bit about Big Jim. He is a frequent guest here. He has been an integral part of the Canadian sport fishing scene for years, and he shows no signs of slowing down. Having first gained notoriety as a tournament angler, Big Jim was vaulted into the sport fishing spotlight with 2 CFT Canadian Classic Championships. He's a 2-time champion of all Canada for all bass. It doesn't get any better than that. He's done it twice. It's Canada's premier fishing tournament title, along with a slew of other tournament victories, 28 to be exact. Following his tournament success, Big Jim founded what has become Canada's largest free fishing publication, which is Just Fishing with Big Jim McLaughlin. Jim also spent several years as host of the Ultimate Fishing Show before he moved on to the current phase of his career. I'm worn out just listening to this. To myself, I'm not sure I can make it through the intro. Then Big Jim had things like celebrity guiding and promotional activities and just about anything else connected with the sport fishing industry, including marketing partnerships with several of the largest and most trusted names in the business. How come we're not in that group?
I know.
Nobody trusts us.
What's going on?
Big Jim was presented with the Canadian Sports Fishing Industry Association Chairman's Award in 2008. His outstanding contributions and dedication to the growth and participation of recreational fishing. Also in 2008, Big Jim was named as the first recipient of the CPAA, that's the Canadian Professional Anglers Association Lifetime Member Award, and at the 2009 Spring Fishing and Boat Show, Big Jim was awarded the Rick Amsbury Hall of Fame Award. Who is Rick Amsbury, if I can be so bold? Big Jim, are you there?
I'm here, buddy. How are you, man?
You've done so many things. I'm kind of in awe of you. Despite your size and the fact that you're from Canada, you probably swing an axe. I wouldn't mess with you on a good day.
I don't need an axe. I'm just, using a sledgehammer now, Alex.
Oh, boy. You smash watermelons like Gallagher.
I remember him from the Gong Show.
He was something.
I'm dating myself now.
That was actually my favorite show, the Gong Show. I thought that guy was a genius.
Chuck Barris?
Yeah.
Did you know that he wrote the song Palisade Park?
Actually, I did, yes.
Oh, okay.
I have a memory for obscure and useless facts, and that's one of them.
We've got something in common then.
So it's rumored that he was an agent for the CIA, and he killed people. But George Clooney starred as Chuck Barris. That right there is an accomplishment in itself. The movie never admitted that Chuck actually did all that stuff, but it strongly implied it.
That means it's true.
That's right. That's what I took away from it.
Yeah, they didn't want to knock on the door at 3 o'clock in the morning with a helicopter over their house. Eh?
Right. So Big Jim, I hear that it's National Fishing Week in Canada.
Yeah, Alex, it's a great event up here. It lets you fish license-free right across the country from last Saturday to this coming Sunday. And it's a really cool thing. It just really helps introduce a lot of people to fishing. And, just a lot of times just allows families to get out there. And perhaps, you might get a whole bunch of people together and different, factions of a family, and they get together, and they don't have to buy fishing licenses. So it just, gives them a chance to introduce themselves and their friends to it. I know I've done several events and a lot of radio and television this week about it. And it's just amazing to see. We did one thing where we had my wife and my daughters and my granddaughters and the whole deal on about passing fishing down, and they were all running around the boat launch, having a hoot and everything. And it's, that's what Family Fishing Week is about. It's not about, going out to a tournament and trying to win a boat or be Kevin Van Dam or something.
So I could sneak up there and spend all kinds of money and then not have to buy a fishing license, correct?
That's the deal. When are you coming? You got to be here by Sunday.
I'm not going to be there by Sunday. You're going to have to do some extra fishing for me. Would you do that for me, Jim? We got to take a break right now, but when we come back, we'll talk a lot more with Big Jim McLaughlin. I didn't even ask him if he would come back. Jim, would you come back?
Yes, sir.
That's great. You're such a good guy. I see why you won all those awards. You're beloved in Canada and soon the United States.
More of America's favorite outdoor talk program, Outdoors This Week, after these messages.
Hold on to that, and that's a good one since 1984. Tight Lines with Sammy Lee.
Do you enjoy catching big bass? Well, if you're like me, you do. Hello, this is Sammy Lee. In just a moment, I'll talk with Denny Brower about catching big bass with the flipping technique. But first, this message.
And here's our winner, 10 pounds.
Always dreamed of coming in first at the weigh-in? Well, here's something to think about. You can't land the big uns if you can't get there to catch them. That's why unique functional products are so important. UFP is the company that makes the brakes for top boat trailers, not to mention brake lines, couplers, and new torsion axles. When your trailer is equipped with unique functional products, you'll always stop smoothly and safely. So if you're gonna make it, let UFP break it. Unique functional products from people dedicated to making things happen.
When the name Denny Brower comes up, most people think of the flipping technique. And why not? Denny's used this method of fishing to land hundreds of bass in the 5 to 8 pound class. And he's won over $2 million during his professional bass tournament career that has seen him win a BASS Angler of the Year and a Bassmaster Classic titles. So while talking with Denny recently, I asked why he started using the flipping method in the first place.
Well, number one, I enjoy catching large fish, and I don't think there's a technique that we have developed that's better at catching large fish than flipping or pitching, because you get into areas that a lot of people can't reach, and bass like to live around the heaviest cover available, and the bigger ones especially. And this technique allows you not only to get a bait to where they're living and present it correctly, but it enables you to get the fish back out with a good chance of landing it.
But you make it sound so simple. You say, get a bait back in. Now, flipping is not necessarily an easy technique, is it? Or is it?
I think it's probably the easiest technique there is. If you're lazy, you'll love flipping. It looks awkward because you have the long rod and you have to develop a little bit of coordination with the line in your hand and the timing as you swing your bait out forward into the spot. But It's a very easy technique to learn, an hour of practice, and any individual can become very accurate with it.
Boy, they sure can. I've watched Denny teach people to flip in just a matter of 30 to 45 minutes. But there's more to flipping than just learning the art of the cast. And I'll tell you about my next visit with Denny Brower after this message, so don't go away. When we get together again, Denny Brower will discuss the actual differences between flipping and pitching, so I hope you'll join us for that. I'm Sammy Lee, and until next time, Tight Lines.
Tight Lines, brought to you by UFP, America's leading maker of brake systems for boat trailers. FishMate, the ultimate fishing app for your smartphone. U.S. farm-raised catfish, the healthiest fish from pond to plate. And by Bleeding Belly's Lure Company. You bet your ass you'll catch more bass.
Thanks, Sammy. And that visual from pond to plate, does it for me.
That gets me every time.
You see that pond scum.
The pond and all the mud.
You smell the mud. And from pond to plate.
Just
there
drop
you go.
it on the plate.
We have with us one of the legends of fishing in not only in Canada but also in the U.S. He's becoming a legend in the U.S. through our listenership here. I think I'm going to take credit for your fame in the USA.
I'm in. I'll take it any way I can get it, Alex.
Speaking of fame in the USA, Dave Mercer is very famous in the USA. He's on the cover of your magazine. It's called Just Fishing with Jim McLaughlin. But before we talk about that, I want to talk about some of the new products at the ICAST show. The ICAST show just finished in this past week, a couple of days ago. And what is new at ICAST?
Well, Alex, there's a lot of stuff out there. One of the things that's really exciting for me, having been with Shimano for 29 years, which is pretty well the whole time I've been in the fishing business, is that they've introduced all newly designed Seros, Scimitar, and Sahara reels, which are just absolutely awesome. And they've also redesigned the Calcuttas, and it's the Calcutta D series now, and they're just absolutely sweet. I got to see them a few weeks ago, and absolutely incredible products. Can't wait to fish with them. Guys are just going to love them. From some of the other people we work with, I know that there's a lot of new stuff from Rapala out there and Strike King, but Rapala's got that new Balsa Extreme Minnow. I was fishing with the other day. Very, very pleased with it, the way it works. It's not neutral buoyancy, Alex, but it's close to it. It comes back to the top super slow, like it's not that quick rising buoyancy, but man, the shape and the size of it at 4 inches, and it's got a deep profile to it. It's going to be a killer. You can just tell to look at it, and of course, when it has the name Rapala on it, you know it's going to catch fish. Just some of the stuff out there, and you can go on about it. I mean, even companies that we don't have anything to do with, they have some great products out there. I was talking to Chris Hockley, who's the the Canadian manager for marketing for Pure Fishing, and they've got a whole bunch of great stuff out there. He's excited about. They won a whole bunch of awards and things. In fact, he was just chatted me on Facebook here a few minutes ago and told me he was just getting home from the show and having a hard time with flights and things. But he thanked me for congratulating him, and he was looking forward to getting out and doing some fishing with his family this weekend. So that's an awesome time. But lots of new stuff out there, man. Like there's no shortage of it, Alex. There's no shortage.
It seems like every year there's more and more new stuff, to the point where there's almost too much. I'll never say there's too much fishing equipment, but there's too much fishing equipment.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, Alex. I went through this in the garage about a week ago. I was talking to my wife one night when I came out of the garage, and she said to me, "What's wrong with you? Like you look like a deer in the headlights." And I said, "Well, I went out and I tried to put some stuff together to go fishing, and I said there's just so many boxes in that corner of the plain old boxes full of stuff and cardboard boxes full of stuff and tackle bags, and there's just so much stuff there." I said, and I went out there the next day and I spent an honest 4.5 hours just sorting through stuff.
Yep.
And just getting stuff out, and I've got a whole bunch of stuff for the Ottawa Fishing Festival this week to give the kids. I've got literally enough stuff to fill a small garbage can, packages of plastic and stuff and hooks and just odds and ends and things that I'm never going to use. So it's all going to go to really good use and get into some young kids' hands to get out there and fish with. So
the kids that you give this stuff to,
yes, sir.
Where are they from?
Most of them would be from the inner city. And
okay.
It's there's a lot of kids out there, and I know it may not be one of the totally fairest things, Alex, but I always like when I'm in a crowd and I I managed to spy a couple of kids that obviously look like they're not getting the right deal that they signed on for in life.
Right.
I'll always try to pick them out, send them out, and get them some extra stuff, spend some time with them or something. And I just think that when you see the old single dad or single mom with the 4 kids, and obviously things are tough. I like to get a fishing rod in their hand if I can. I always have a few that I can give the kids. That's one of the things that the sportsman shows up here in Shimano and Rapala and people like that are very, very good about. Is I get literally hundreds of rods and reels to give the kids at events like this every year, and it's just it's a wonderful investment helping out those kids to have something to do to if they're at the river fishing, they're not going to get in trouble like they're hanging out on the mall or out behind the school or something.
Let's talk about the balsa Rapala. The Bagley was the original balsa lure, and I guess you and I both fished them back in the 70s and 80s. And
hey, in fact, Alex, they just got reintroduced again this year. That was one of the little tidbits I saw on one of the websites about ICAST this year.
Really? Who bought them now?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's Lee Sisson again. They had a picture of him, and his name was there, but don't quote me on that because I just scanned it real quick. I was looking at a bunch of stuff here first thing this morning here when I get up at 4:30, but need to get caught up on that stuff because I've been so busy.
Lee Sisson was their original lure designer, wasn't he?
I believe he was, yeah, because years ago I had the privilege of spending some time with Jim Bagley, and I remember him taking us all through that old factory in Winter Haven, and man, it was amazing to watch how they stored the balsa wood and everything that they did and they went through, and man, I caught so many fish with their lures. In fact, the first time I won the Canadian Championship, almost all the fish came on a Bagley bait.
Really? I was down there in Winter Haven also about 20 years ago, but I walked into the main room there, and there was a girl at the counter, and my friend and I walked in and we walked out. So we've gone from boom times to not so boom times to broke times. Maybe this time they'll be back.
I hope so.
Me too. Listen, folks, we'll be right back. How tall are you, Big Jim?
Well, I used to be almost 6'4". I'm almost 60 now, and I think I'm about a half an inch shorter.
All right, 6'3.5". You're still big, Jim. All right, we'll be right back, folks. Don't go away.
Brand new pickup that I bought from a friend of mine that I financed online. But when I need a break from the
More of America's favorite outdoor talk program, Outdoors This Week, after these messages.
got me a new fish finder and a GPS.
If you live in the middle part of the country and you do much boating, you've probably seen them. I'm talking about Asian carp, an invasive species that spread into our rivers and lakes. When you run a boat close to them, they fly out of the water like missiles. They're big enough to cause serious injury to anybody they hit. I'm Wade Bourne, and this is Wired to Fish Radio. Today, Mark Menendez tells a story that illustrates what a problem these fish have become.
Stay tuned for more Wired to Fish Radio.
Never been a fan of gun rests because you don't want to lug a stick around with you? Then you need to see this. Compact gun rest that's no bigger than your hand. Keep one in your pocket until needed. Then hook your little Sure Shot gun rest around a tree limb or whatever's handy. With this item, my range has increased 25% and my accuracy even more. Go to WadeBourneOutdoors.com or Google Little Sure Shot gun rest to see the amazing video. That's WadeBourneOutdoors.com. Let me know what you think. As the heart and soul of Ducks Unlimited, dedicated volunteers across the country coordinate more than 4,000 local fundraising events, energize college campuses, raise political awareness, and showcase wildlife art. Whether it's selling tickets, gathering donations, securing sponsorships, or contacting government officials, DU volunteers annually generate millions of dollars for habitat conservation. Join the DU team of dedicated volunteers and become a leader in wetlands conservation.
This is Wired to Fish Radio.
Pro angler Mark Menendez lives in western Kentucky, and his home waters are Kentucky and Barkley Lakes. Recently, he told me a story about how Asian carp have invaded these waters, and they're so thick in some places that when they start jumping, they're a real danger to boaters.
I have a 6-year-old little boy, and I asked him if he wanted to go see the flying fish, and Max promptly looked at me and says, "Daddy, fish don't fly." I said, "Let's go to the Cumberland River below Barkley Dam, and let's go see if we can find them." In a matter of minutes after entering a very small creek, we idled in, and the entire world erupted. They were jumping between 6 to 10 feet in the air, and I noticed that there were 4 distinctive size class in your class of fish: 4, 10, 20, and 30-pound fish. In a restricted area of 25 feet width in this creek, we had 20 to 30-pound fish raining all around our boat. It really actually scared me to death for his safety. What they're going to mean to our rivers biologically, in my estimation, is something very, very disturbing.
That's Mark Menendez talking about the invasion of Asian carp in mid-America's lakes and rivers. And tomorrow, Mark returns with more about the scary biology of this situation. And that's today's Wired to Fish Radio. I'm Wade Bourne saying thanks for listening. Get outside.
No, you get outside, Wayne. Don't come into my show and tell me to get outside and order me around. I don't like that. Big Jim doesn't order me around. Listen, folks, welcome back, first of all. And we have with us a legend. He's bigger than life, a guy by the name of Jim McLaughlin. He's like the most famous guy in fishing in all of Canada and across the USA right now because of this show. First of all, Big Jim, welcome back. Are those Asian carp a problem up in Canada yet?
I don't think we've got them yet. I'm sure it's going to happen. But I don't think we've got them yet, but we've got everything else. We've got the gobies and the spiny water fleas and the rusty crayfish and everything else that's supposed to sink us. But I know Mark there. I've talked to him a couple of times, and I got to tell you one thing. I don't need no 20 or 30-pound fish jumping around me going 40 miles or 60 miles an hour in a boat, boy. Yikes.
I saw this thing on YouTube. It was these guys were out. They were clubbing these carp with baseball bats that had nails in them. They were trying to skewer them.
I saw one where they put a guy in the front of a boat. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
And he has like a suit of armor with big hooks all welded all over it.
I think that was the one, yes.
Yeah, and you have to stand at the front of the boat and let them hit you and see how many you can get impaled on you in 100 yards or something. Like, yikes.
It's sick, but in a way, you're rooting against the carp, you know? So tell me some more about your publication and how can people that are listening in the USA right now get a hold of it?
Well, Alex, it's really simple. Just go to justfishing.ca. It's just fishing with a G on the end. It's not fishing, it's fishing.
Okay, just fishing. All right.
.ca.
But Canadians respect the English language, unlike Southerners here.
That's okay. My spell check on my laptop has all the things in it: cranking, flipping, jigging.
I haven't programmed my spell check to do that yet. It sounds like a pretty good idea.
Yeah, no. Every time I see add the word, and I'm doing that, and I look and realize what it is, I do it now.
Right.
Just like all the company names.
Right.
And things like that you deal with all the time. It's cool.
It underlines all the company names for me, and that's how I know it's a company name. You've got your protege on the cover. That is, of course, Dave Mercer. And how is Dave doing lately?
He's doing just great. He's been on this big fitness kick lately. He's lost about a half of me, and he's just he's so happy with it. He's emceeing the Bassmaster Elites. He's doing lots of other stuff for ESPN. He's got the show. He's doing a lot of promotional stuff, and he's in a very good place in life right now. Whenever you talk with him, he's a very happy guy, and he thinks he's just had all this stuff. It's just come to him. Like, not that he hasn't worked for it, but everything he tries just seems to get better. And I think that's the reason why he's taken an interest in his health now, is that he realizes he has a wonderful family, great children. They all love each other, and it's a great deal. And he just wants to make it all better for them all by making sure that he's going to be around for a long time.
He busted his hump in relative obscurity for at least 2 decades. Before
about 15 years, yeah, he was at it before, and then all of a sudden it just went boom and happened.
Right. Couldn't be happier for him. I left some flying lures for him at the counter at the Hilton. I'm not sure if he got him at the Bassmaster Classic, but we certainly wish him luck. Tell everybody how you got to meet Dave.
Oh, it was really cool. In fact, Dave has made mention of this several times when I've heard him at things, and he basically, when I was fishing years ago, I only fished tournaments for about 10 years, Alex, and I won 29, so like major events. We're not talking about club events and things like that,
Holy cow.
Yeah, so I averaged like about 3 a year up here, so I was really, really blessed at it. I tell you, boy, a lot of things fell into place for me. But the second time I won the Canadian Championship, he writes me a letter. And he's like 12 or something like that. And he writes me a letter and tells me he's going to be the next big thing in fishing, and I need to take him fishing to get him some exposure.
He had chutzpah even at age 12.
Yeah, he was ready to go. And anyways, he writes me a letter, and he put a phone number. So I phoned, and I got his mom. And I told him who it was, and he says, Jim, it would have been so great if Dave was around. And I said, well, look, I'm going to be close to where you guys live practicing for a tournament. I've already got permission to have him in the boat. Why don't you bring him down to the boat launch and not let him know, plan the day. I'll meet you at the boat launch at like 6:30 or something, and away we go. And his mom brought him down, and just to see the guys launching, and he's in practice, and he's running around, he's talking to Baba Izumi and everybody else, but he kept coming back to me. He just gravitated back to me. It was really, really cool. Wow. And he's sitting in the boat with me, and I looked at him, and I said to him, he's looking at all my stuff. He's in the compartments with tackle boxes, open. Look at
that's just like Dave. Like Dave.
He just had to see it all and do it all. He just had a thirst for knowledge that was incredible. And then I look at him and I go to him, well, you better grab your stuff there. I said, because we got to get out of here. We got to go practice. And he looked at me and he said, what do you mean? And he was all confused. And I said, well, you and I are going fishing today. Why do you think your mom brought you down here? And he ran through the parking lot like a Tasmanian devil to get his stuff out of the car.
Wow.
And came back, and we only caught one fish that day, and he caught it.
Wow. And you ruined his life with that one fish.
Yeah, no, it was really, really funny. We got one bite all day, and I ended up coming. Actually, we came second in the tournament. We were winning the first day, and we slipped a little bit the second day.
We got to run because the music tells me we got to run. But thanks for being on with us.
It's my pleasure, Alex. You have a wonderful week.
It's always a blast to have you. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being with us. Bye-bye.